Chapter 5 The Search for Three Men. The 9th of February 2019. I did not sleep much last night. I lay there staring up at the ceiling and I stewed, a mixture of anger and frustration bubbling inside me. At first I felt used, taken for a ride, conned. I felt like a mug again, a fraud. For the second time in a few weeks, I questioned my abilities as a private investigator. This was about 2 in the morning. By past, my anger had diluted somewhat. Frustration was still there, but I reconciled myself with the fact that it had not been a wasted trip after all. My instincts had not let me down. Quite the opposite. I sensed something was not right, and I acted upon this suspicion. I reasonably reasoned that perhaps I was not the only person who had been duped. Those in the Miners' Arms seemed genuine. If this man was hiding behind the name of another, it is fair to assume they would have no reason to know any different, given his age and lifestyle. The history of the farm ownership seemed to tally, and even Alf would not be old enough to know the family at this time. The locals seemingly told me what they believed to be the truth, or had they had me down for a fool as well? If the information Ernie disclosed is not common knowledge, it has to be one hell of a cover-up. And for what reason? I lay there with a million questions going on in my mind. Who was this man? Why had he assumed the identity of another? And where is the real Ernie Grimshaw? Who is the real Ernie Grimshaw? Is he still alive? What was David and Mabel's involvement in all of this? Why did he decide to open up to me? Why did he let me go into his home? He didn't have to. Did he want to get something off his chest? Did he want to talk? Did he need to? Why me? Why now? And who is Mr. Green? What does he want to find out? What does he already know? Have I the right to question him? My job isn't to investigate the man who is paying me to investigate. All I can do is gather the information and hand it back to Mr. Green. What he decides to do with it is his own business. So long as he pays what he owes, what do I care? So where do I go from here? I really do need to speak with this man again. I don't even know his real name. I need some facts before I can report anything to Mr. Green. In the meantime, there's this Fitzgerald case to investigate. That has to take priority this weekend. If nothing is revealed by Sunday, well, that will be the end of it. Mrs. F might be still curious, but her funds will have run out. If I cannot bring her some news by then, her man's intentions will remain a mystery, and I haven't got much to go on. His weekday movements revealed nothing of note. Let's hope his weekends are a little bit more revealing and exciting. While the cat is away, he has the chance to play. This is what I call a shadow case. Very different from the Grimshaw case. I have to remain anonymous. I can't ask questions or speak with anyone. I can't draw attention to myself. Not this weekend, not ever. Even if I find nothing of note, I cannot risk letting him know that he's been watched. These cases can be boring and repetitive, but also extremely satisfying when the watching is worthwhile. An indiscreet meeting, a chance to catch them at it, whatever that might entail. I normally have a hunch as to how a case will play out, but I'm not feeling anything with the Mr. F case. He just seems like a nice, normal, boring, middle-aged man. A stale and unhappy marriage does not always mean an affair. Maybe they've just grown tired of each other. Maybe the spark has gone and she's clutching at straws to either find a way out or simply put her paranoia to bed. Who knows? Again, it's not for me to question their motives. I'll give the old man until Sunday night to call me, and if nothing, I will call him myself first thing Monday. I won't give Mr. Green anything until I know more. What do I tell him anyway? I thought I'd found your man, but it's just some other old man pretending to be him. He would hardly be getting value for money for that. Right, plan of action for today, for what it is. 11 a.m. Drive to Rochdale and set up position near the house. Mrs. F confirmed that she would not be leaving the house until midday. That will give me time to find a suitable location to park and position and follow. Await Mrs. F's departure and go from there. 1 p.m. Well, Mr. Diary, she's gone off to her sister's house only 10 minutes ago. Typical female timing. Why say 12 if you're not going to go anywhere until nearly 1? Nearly 2 hours I've been crouched down in this cramped van. It's a lovely day too, sunny and unseasonably warm. I hope she realises that she's paying by the hour. No movement in or out of the house in that time, other than a visit from the postman. Visibility of the house itself is good, with the blinds closed. I have no view of the inside, but she assured me that if he does choose to go out, it will be through the front door, as the back only leads to a garden, with no rear exit available. Update when there is something to report upon. 4:15 p.m. We have movement. Just over 2 hours ago, he left the house and set off walking up Somerset Grove and right onto Edenfield Road. I decided that it would be easier at this stage to follow in the van at a distance. He was dressed in jeans, trainers and a short-sleeved white shirt. Smart and casual, and a little less beige than before. Not exactly a man on a mission, or on the pull, but certainly a lot more relaxed than the Monday to Friday attire. After about half a mile he turned right into Deanhurst Park, close to Spotland, the home of Rochdale Football Club. He took a seat on a bench there and took out his mobile to make a call. I stayed in the van and observed, at a distance from Sandy Lane. The call lasted no more than a minute. I sat and waited. Within 10 minutes he was joined by another man, bearded, slightly older. Taller too, a smart-looking gentleman, well-dressed and confident-looking. The two of them shook hands and chatted together. Whatever they were talking about made them smile. Well, laugh, actually. A hearty laugh. It was infectious, and it made me laugh too. It's amazing what a laugh can do. Mr. F seemed to be a different man again. It was then I noticed Mr. B had 2 dogs with him, 2 Labradors, one black, one golden. He handed one of the leads to Mr. F, and the two of them set off deeper into the park. I decided to follow at a safe distance. I had a newspaper with me, and took it along in case a bench stop was needed. The 2 men walked at a slow pace, which was at odds with my usual jaunty manner, and I had to slow myself down to avoid getting too close. Thankfully, the park was quite busy, and one other walker wasn't going to stand out. The 2 men walked full circle around the park until the dogs were almost walking at a slower pace than them. They settled on the same bench they started, red-faced and clearly benefiting from the exercise. I made my way back to the van. They were still laughing when they parted, and Mr. F headed for home. I needed that. Not just the walk, but the dose of normality again. Rochdale, for all its flaws, has pockets of beauty that still brought people together. Families and groups of friends crisscrossed and mingled with dogs, ducks, and squirrels. It was the first time I had witnessed laughter and smiles in Rochdale, and it cheered me up. I cursed myself again for being too cynical. I blamed the job. I didn't need to follow Mr. F, but I did anyway. I knew where he was going. I drove ahead of him and waited back at the starting point near the house. He was a man of routine, and I trusted my instincts. I was right to do so. Through the rear-view mirror, I could see him walking up the street, still smiling. He passed the van and walked to the front door, turned the key, and went inside. In the next 3 days, I've kept surveillance on him. He has done nothing untoward or out of the ordinary, and yet I'm warming to him. I enjoyed this afternoon's stroll as much as he did. Some of us need excitement in our lives. Gossip, little tittle-tattle, scandal and outrage. I am guilty of being pulled into it too. Maybe Mrs. Fitzgerald is as guilty of it as well. Is she happy with the man she has got? Is she happy? Is he happy? Well, he was today, at least for an hour or so. Paranoia can eat away at a person. Is she paranoid? She's certainly coming across that way. She was, or is, a lovely lady, but maybe a little controlling. He was maybe holding a leash today at the park, but he was off his own for a while, and he seemed to be enjoying that freedom. I really do not think there's much more to report today, but I'll see it through. I'll move the van a little further away from the house to avoid attention, and see if there's any other movement in the next few hours.